Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another installment of Scott's Selections here for Wednesday, October 30th. Before we get into today's play of the day, quick recap of what happened yesterday. Unfortunately, just like the day before, we ended up losing in roughly the first 5 minutes of the game. We knew the Astros would score early as they had scored in the first, in one run in either the first or the second inning in pretty much every game in the series. However, that did not matter as we needed 3 outs from Verlander, and he gave up an infield single, a bunt, and a ground ball through the shift as he ended up giving up a run in the first inning. So he ended up losing the Astros score first at minus 104. Still got a good number on it. Was mostly minus 110 or minus 115 market wide, but that didn't matter as the Nationals ended up winning the game. But it was icing on the cake to make the loss feel even worse when the Astros scored 2 runs in the first inning, which means that all you needed was 3 outs, and we could not get them. So unfortunately, Verlander did not get the job done as he has still yet to win a World Series game in his entire career, which is right now, I'd say, the Achilles heel in his legacy. But either way, Game 7 will be tonight. I will not be giving out a play on that as I really have no idea how that game's going to go. Scherzer has too many questions regarding his back and neck, but he claims that he's good to go. And Greinke has had question marks throughout his performance in the playoffs, but he has had very good numbers against the Nationals. So I personally will skip that game. I hope it's entertaining. Part of me is kind of rooting for the Nationals just because of the fact that I'm a huge Juan Soto guy, and I think he will be one of the best players in the league from this point onward, and he's only 21 years old. So he's a tremendous talent. The homer he hit yesterday was an absolute moonshot, and hopefully the game will be entertaining. In terms of basketball, there are some games on tonight. Not really a fan of anything on the card. So we will do what we usually do, which is we will give out some college football game today because of the fact that the line movement has started to happen, and I want to give out this line before a key number gets crossed. So without further ado, we're going to dive right into it before circling back for some leans on today's card. The play of the day will be on a college football game that's taking place on Saturday, and it will be between Arkansas State and UL Monroe. And we like Arkansas State -2, which is available on FanDuel or DraftKings, whichever you prefer. We'll be using FanDuel for this, though, which will be on FanDuel at -2 at -110. But the main reason why we like Arkansas State is, well, twofold. One, because of the fact that sharp money has already started pouring in on Arkansas State in the first place. Arkansas State originally opened up a roughly pick 'em. They're currently up to -2 or -1.5 in some spots. But I expect this line to cross 3 as money has continued to pour in on Arkansas State. And I think that 3 will be crossed right before opening kickoff. And the main reason why sharp money has come in on Arkansas State is due to the recent domination in this series in these matchups between these two teams. When you think of a conference matchup, you always think of the home team winning the majority of the time, and you'll see a decent amount of splits. However, Arkansas State has won each of the last 9 meetings, and not only that, they've also covered the spread in each of the last 9 meetings. They've also won each of the last 4 games on the road at UL Monroe, and they've covered all 4 games in that span as well. So I simply think that Arkansas State, led by their coach Blake Anderson, just simply understands how to beat this UL Monroe team coached by Matt Viator. And I think that Arkansas State will come out focused. I think they'll come out and win the game. Are both teams good by any means? No, both teams defensively are completely terrible. But I think that Arkansas State, just based on the fact that they have been able to dominate in recent years, I think they will be able to win this game relatively easily. Also, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each of the last 7 innings have been won by Arkansas State by double digits. So the series hasn't even been close. I think Arkansas State should win this game by at least a touchdown. I understand why the spread is relatively low, considering the fact that Arkansas State lost their original starting quarterback for the season, and now their starting quarterback is Elaine Hatcher. However, Hatcher has actually looked decent over the last couple of weeks after some early struggles, as he has thrown 12 touchdown passes, and he is also a little bit of a dual threat quarterback as he has 27. I mean, he's run the ball 39 times, so he definitely has some mobility. But overall, he's completing over 67% of his passes, and he has 12 touchdown passes. He does have 6 interceptions, which is a bit concerning. But at the same point, he's also still a freshman, so he has had to deal with some growing pains so far this season. But I think he will play relatively well as UL Monroe defense just gave up 50-plus points to Appalachian State last week. I know Appalachian State is a ranked team, but UL Monroe's defense is really bad, and I know that they lost by 1 point in overtime to Florida State earlier this year. But as a whole, this team's just not very good. And I think Arkansas State, as they've dominated the series in recent years, will come out focused. I think they will win this game by at least a touchdown. So I think there is some value on Arkansas State here. So for that reason, the play of the day will be on Arkansas State -2 which is available on FanDuel at -110. Other than that, though, we're going to circle back to the leans on today's card. And there's a decent amount of sports to cover based on the fact that you have hockey, NBA, and the final game of baseball for the season. In terms of baseball, as I said before, I'm giving out no thoughts on that. Yeah, I'm not going to bother. The series kind of reminds me of the Blues Bruins series in the Stanley Cup, as I feel like every time you think a team is about to gain momentum, they don't, and they end up losing. I don't know what's going to happen in Game 7. I hope it's entertaining, but that remains to be seen. Hopefully Scherzer can actually go, and hopefully his back and neck will not lock up on him again, but that remains to be seen. Now, in terms of NBA, there is one prop that I really like that I thought about giving out for play there, but I decided not to do it, and it will actually be on the Warriors and Suns game. And the Warriors actually have a player prop, Steph Curry, over 4.5 3-pointers made, which is available at +110 on DraftKings. It's at -110 on FanDuel, so there is a decent line discrepancy there. But as a whole, Curry's attempted at least 9 threes in each of the first 3 games of the season, and he only played roughly 30 minutes in all those games because all 3 games were blowouts. So if Curry actually plays 40 minutes, give or take, or 35-plus minutes, and he's already attempting 9 threes per game minimum, I think he should attempt at least 10 or even more in this game, and as long as he makes 50% of them, which, I mean, it's a tough task, but you have Rubio and Booker guarding in the perimeter, which is a very underwhelming defensive core in the backcourt. I think Curry should go over, especially because the game's at home. I think he will play well, and I think that +110 is a little bit too much value, so I would lean to Curry over 4.5 3-pointers made. Other than that, though, in terms of the spreads, looking at the card, I would lean to the over in the Rockets and Wizards. I know it's at 232 right now, give or take, but it started at 230. Money's come in on the over. I understand it. I would take the over as well, as you have the Rockets who are completely content with running up and down the court as fast as possible, bombing away threes, whereas the Wizards are still relatively young. Their team's not very good. They're going to look to chuck threes with Beal as well. So I think that game will turn into a track meet, lean to the over. Other than that, though, looking at the rest of the betting card, lean to the Bulls -2 against Cleveland. I just don't think Cleveland's that good. Chicago has some talent on the roster. Are they that well coached? No. But at the same point, I still think talent alone should have Chicago at least as a 3-point favorite. Lean to the Bulls in that one. And other than that, though, what do I like here? I would lean to Utah at -6. I know they open up at -1.5, but Kawhi Leonard's not playing tonight. And I've already seen what the Clippers do whenever the ball's not in Kawhi Leonard's hands after watching them against Phoenix. This team doesn't have a number 2 guy right now as Paul George is still injured. I think Utah will come out focused. They're going to play this game like it's extremely important. And I think that Utah should be able to get this job done. I think it will be relatively low scoring, but I would take the Jazz -6. I think they will win this game by double digits. Other than that, though, not really liking anything else on the card. In terms of hockey, I would lean to Tampa Bay on the money line, or roughly -120 against New Jersey. Overall, I just don't think New Jersey's that good. And Tampa, even though they have struggled a bit so far this season, I still know that they're significantly more talented than Devils. I think they should be a bigger favorite than they currently are. So I would lean to Tampa Bay on the money line in that one. Other than that, looking at the rest of the card, I would lean to the over 6.5 between the Panthers and the Avalanche. The Panthers gave up 7 goals in their last game to Vancouver, and they already played once against Colorado this season, and they struggled defensively. I think you should see Colorado play well at home. I think you should see Colorado score at least 5 goals in this game, and I think that this game will go over the total, so I would lean to the over 6.5. Other than that, though, not much else to talk about in terms of today's card, but the play today, once again, will be on Arkansas State -2, which is available on FanDuel at -110. Other than that, though, it's going to be this installment of Scott Selections here for Wednesday, October 30th. Good luck to all of you, and good luck with your bets today. Bye, everyone.